Hi everyone, welcome or welcome back to my channel. If you're new here, hi, my name is Carolyn, and in this video I'm going to be doing this eyeshadow tutorial. Look, this is part of like my makeup for beginners series, I guess I'm doing. So yeah, last time I did a makeup routine, like how I do my base makeup, and this time I'm doing just a very easy everyday eye look for beginners. And this is just one very basic style of eyeshadow that I feel like is helpful to get down, because once you get this technique down, which is basically 4 eyeshadows total, but mostly 3 because the fourth one is in the inner corner. Once you get this technique down, you can do a whole lot of eyeshadow looks. So it's really just this technique. But anyway, this is the look that I'm doing in this video. So if you want to see how I got this look, then just keep on watching. Okay, so I'm gonna zoom you in here. See if I can figure this out. Okay, I think that's good. I'm gonna start off by priming my eyelids, and this is a step I don't ever like to miss. I'm putting just a teeny tiny amount on my finger, and the primer I'm using is the Ulta Beauty Matte Eye Primer. I also like the Milani primer. I like the Ulta one a little bit better. I've also tried the Urban Decay Primer Potion and the Too Faced Shadow Insurance. Those are both good as well. This step just helps your eyeshadows apply better and stay on longer without creasing. I'm going to be using my Disney Designer collection from ColourPop. I'm using this because it has a lot of neutral shades and the packaging is really reflective, so I'm probably just going to show pictures of what I'm doing, but show pictures as I'm doing each shade instead of holding up this palette because it's so reflective. But I'm using this because it has the neutral colors that I want to use. These like neutral shades that I'm going to be using in the crease and outer corner, and then basic shimmer shades, and it's just laid out really well. It's super user friendly. If you don't have this palette, I'm sure you have shades like this in your collection if you have any sort of eyeshadow palette collection. And even if you don't, you can kind of apply this technique to whatever colors you decide to use. Whatever colors that you have available to you, you can kind of use the same technique that I'm about to use. But basically what I'm going to do is I'm going to go in with a shade like Grumpy, which is like a mid-tone transition type shade. That's how I'm going to be using it. And then I'm going to put Abu in the outer corner, and yeah, I'll be putting pictures up there. And then I'm going to be putting Ray on the eyelid and Prince Charming in the crease. So, or not Prince Charming in the inner corner. Okay, so and before I do any sort of eyeshadow, I'm going to go in with the shade Chip, which is like a cream colored eyeshadow. It's basically the same shade as my skin tone. You can do a shade that's the same as your skin tone if it's in a palette, or you can use your face palette, or you can use your face powder, whatever powder you use for your face, or you can use a translucent setting powder, but just something that's going to help everything blend on top of. So you just want a thin layer, and it's just so that eyeshadows can blend easier on top, and it just helps with the application process. So okay, now I'm going to go in with this firm blending eyeshadow from Profusion. It's the shape here. It's somewhat of a smaller taper blending brush. Like, it's smaller than this one. So this is what's right for my eye size. If you have smaller eyes than me, you'd probably want to go with a smaller blending brush. Or if you have bigger eyes than me, you'd probably want to go with something like this size. But yeah, I'm going to go in with this one. And I don't know if I said, it's the Firm Blending eyeshadow brush from ES2 is the number. And it's from Profusion. Okay, so I'm going to go in with the shade Grumpy. And I'm just going to apply this to kind of my eye socket. And I have my hand kind of more towards the bottom. I have my hand towards the bottom when I'm like when I'm applying. But for like when I don't need to, when I'm blending, sometimes I'll have it closer when I'm doing more like detail type work. But for the most part, whenever I'm blending, I have my hand towards the bottom of the brush. And I'm just applying this throughout my whole crease. And while you're doing this, you want to be looking down at your mirror. And then you just look up to see where the color is. So okay, so I'm gonna apply a little bit more here because I want a little bit more showing up here in this area until I get the shape, until I get the shadow where I want it. I just kind of do back and forth between looking down and looking straight on to see where I put, just to see where the color is. And I'm kind of doing, I'm making sure that my eyeshadow is kind of staying in this shape here. I'm kind of doing, you could do like a sticky note tape type thing. I've seen people do that where they'll like literally take a sticky note and put it here so that they don't go beyond the line. But I don't, that's a little bit too harsh of lines for me. I don't really like harsh lines. So I just kind of just know where to stop and where to blend. But it's basically, you kind of want the shape to be more up and out versus like down. I mean, it's also personal preference. Some people want it really round and not almond shape, but if you want that kind of cat eye look, you want to kind of put the color like as though there's a line here and keep it this way. And then I hope that made sense, but I also recommend leaving a little bit of space between your eyebrow and the color. Okay, now that I've gotten kind of this overall shape that I want, this is what it's looking like. I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and then so they kind of, you want to see how well they're matching. And no, my eyes are definitely not symmetrical, and pretty much no one's eyes are completely symmetrical. So you just kind of match it to the best of your ability. And this is what we're going with for today. So, and then I'm going to take this brush. This is a small crease blending brush. This is from Blend Bunny Cosmetics, and the brush is B4. I'm going to be using this for the outer corner shade, which I'm going to go in with a Boo, which is a couple shades darker than Grumpy that I was just using. And I'm just packing and doing light blending. I hope that makes sense. Probably not. I'm just kind of doing these motions. It's slightly packing and blending, packing and like small windshield wiper motions, and also kind of small circular motions. Basically, you're just trying to deposit color on the outer corner, outer part of the lid, and yeah, that's basically what I'm going for. And then I'm gonna go back over to Grumpy, the shade that I was using before, and blend out the edges of the shade that I just put down, just so it looks more seamless. Okay, so it should look something like that. On the other side, I'm going to use my MAC 217 brush. You can't get this anymore, and apparently they have changed. They still make it. This is a goat hair version, but they have a synthetic hair version, but apparently it's not as good, so I don't really recommend getting that, because I've just heard from other people in the reviews and stuff that the quality isn't as good. I've had this brush for literally like 20 years at this point, so yeah, I've been through it with this brush, but I like it best for outer corner work. But since you can't get it anymore, I wanted to show you an other option. But this is, if you have a brush like this that's really small, it's almost kind of like a packer brush, but it's a little bit more fluffy. You could do a lot with this brush. It's a very versatile brush. It's one of my favorite brushes. I wanted to get like multiples of it, but then I learned that they don't even make it anymore, so, which is unfortunate. But this does that, the blending and everything for like how I wanted to go in with I went in first with a Boo on my outer corner here, and then blended it out with Grumpy. You don't even need to do that with a MAC 217. But if you have the MAC 217 brush, or you have one a lot like it, I would recommend using it for the outer corner, because it just makes the outer corner work easier. It's a lot better at blending than a brush like this. It doesn't really blend quite as well. It just makes outer corner work a lot easier. So now I've got my mattes in my crease and outer corner down. I'm going to be going in with a shimmer now. And so I'm going to be using the shade Ray. But before that, I'm going to just apply NYX glitter primer. This is what, this step is optional, but I always like to do it. I feel like it makes a big difference in my shimmer application. And see, I just do like a tiny bit. You can see I did a tiny bit on each eye, and I'm going with a flat synthetic type brush here. This is like flat and synthetic. And then I'm just kind of spreading out the glitter primer. I just feel like the glitter primer makes a big difference in the way shimmers apply and stay on, and it makes them pop more. And I really love NYX glitter primer, and I use it every time. For every shimmer I use NYX glitter primer. But it is optional. It's not needed. Oh, and then I'm going in with this brush from Sigma. It's the eye shading brush, E55. It's just a flat shader brush. And I'm going in with the shade Ray. And I'm just putting that all over my eyelid. Okay. I'm gonna go in with Same thing on the other side. And then I'm gonna go in with the clean blending brush and just kind of clean up these, like where this part where the shimmer is kind of in a line. I want to clean up these harsh lines a little bit, blend it together so it just looks a little bit more seamless. And you want to go really lightly with this because you don't want to rub the shadow off. You're just trying to go along the edges just to kind of blend them into the rest of the look a little bit more. And you do want to make sure you're using a clean blending brush for this step. Okay, so this is where it's at now. And I'm going to add a little bit of a liner. This is also optional. I like a little bit of a liner, but you could also just put on mascara and, well, let me do an inner corner. So I'm going in with a tiny brush, and it doesn't, you could also use more of like a pencil brush. This is just what I have. It's the Sigma Smudge Brush E21. And I'm gonna go in with the shade Prince Charming, and I'm just gonna put that on my inner corner. And then, so after this step, you could just put mascara on and be done, basically. I'm gonna put on some liner. So I'm gonna go in with that black shade with the glitter, the Midnight Curfew shade. And I'm going in with the flat definer brush from Sigma. It's a flat, really thin brush, you can see. And it's called the E15 brush. And I'm just getting that as close to my eyelashes as possible. And basically smudging my eyeliner into, or the black shadow into my eyelashes. So you get something like that. I'm gonna do the same thing on the other eye. Okay, so those are, oh, and then I go in with, sorry, I do the same thing on the bottom. So I'm going in with that Midnight Curfew shade on the bottom. And again, I'm trying to get it as close to the lash line, or in the lash line. And I'm only going halfway. I'm going to here. With that, do the other side. And I'm gonna blend this out in a minute. I'm gonna blend it out with a brush like this. You can use one of the brushes you were using earlier, but I'm gonna be using this one. It's a small blender brush. This is from BH Cosmetics, one of their brush sets. If you have any kind of brushes with this shape, you don't have to use these exact brushes, but similar shapes, any kind of blending brush will work for this step. And I'm just going in, I'm gonna go in with this, I'm gonna dip my brush into the shade Grumpy. And the shade that I was using as like my transition crease shade earlier, and blend out this bottom line, or this black line here with that shade that I used earlier. It just kind of diffuses the black line. So yeah, you could use the shade that the brush you were using to lay down that transition shade. I'm gonna do the same thing on this eye. And see, just by doing this blending, I've kind of created that wing shape almost without really trying. Okay, so then I'm going to take my pencil or my eyeliner, and I really like the Milani Stay Put eyeliner. Milani Stay Put eyeliner. It's a retractable black pencil, and I like doing this. This step is also optional if you want to do this step, but I like doing this liner up on my lash line. It really fills in the lashes, and I just do my upper waterline, tight lining I think it is called. I don't put any on the bottom, but that's the difference. It's kind of subtle. I hope you can see the difference. I feel like it makes enough of a difference for me to keep doing it. So that's what I do. And then I'm gonna put on mascara. And I'm using the Milani Highly Rated mascara. I think I really like this one. I don't wear false lashes, so this kind of gives me that false lash effect. It is very clumpy, so if you don't like that, you probably wouldn't like this mascara, but I like it because it's clumpy, because I already have long lashes. I just want them to be volume. I just want more volume. So this gives me the volume that I'm looking for. Oh, mascara makes such a big difference. But yeah, so I like this one, but there are so many mascaras out there, so like it's really hard to recommend one. Although I will say I really like the Milani Highly Rated. I also really like the L'Oreal Telescopic, the Essence Lash Princess mascaras. There's multiples of them. Those are pretty good too. I've only tried a couple of them, but from what I hear, they're all pretty good. So you start with trying those. So this is the finished look. Let me zoom. Okay. Sorry if this video was a little bit rough. I feel like I haven't done a video like this before explaining an eyeshadow look, but it's something I do want to do more tutorials, more makeup tutorials and eyeshadow tutorials specifically. So yeah, hopefully, I'm sure that they'll get better from here. But yeah, if you have any requests for tutorials, leave them in the comments. I'm not a makeup artist. I've only done makeup on myself, so I can't really do everything, but I have been doing makeup on myself for 17 years about. So yeah, I feel like I have some experience with eyeshadow looks, and I feel like I know a good amount when it comes to eyeshadow. But anyway, yeah, if you have any requests, tutorials for me to do, please let me know in the comments, and if I'm able to do them, like if I know how to do them, I will gladly do them. the look I did today can be done with any eyeshadows. You definitely don't have to get this palette to do this eyeshadow look. So and that kind of goes with any looks I do in the future. You don't have to get the palette. I'm sure you have similar colors. So anyway, thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate you taking the time out of your day to watch this video. If you enjoyed this video, if you found it helpful, please give this video a thumbs up and please subscribe if you haven't, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!